Hey everyone, it's GW Xavier with Mohr Memories. Bringing you today just a little explanation demo around Creative Memories sketches that come out every month in the virtual crop group. So if you're not part of that group, definitely on Facebook, search the Creative Memories virtual crop and join. Every month we get 4 free sketches, and when those come out each month, they're attached to a contest. So over the course of a couple days, folks will put those sketches together through their interpretation and post them online in that group. And they get entered into drawings for prizes. So some folks sometimes struggle with reading sketches, understanding sketches, and so that's what we're going to look at today, and I have some examples of what I've done with some sketches. So in general, with the sketches, we've got an image of a page that really we want to interpret as an idea, but let's go through those elements first. So we're always going to have the page in the main box, and usually if it's white, such as here on the right, that's an indicator. Use white paper or a white page or white cardstock versus a shaded color would indicate some type of designer paper or cardstock. But really the shading of the pages is really just meant to give us the idea of using alternate or alternating different types of papers or cardstock. You will also notice they will give us measurements for certain aspects as well. We're always going to have the images around like circles. They're going to tell us it's going to be in the shape of a circle. They're indicating to use a circle shape here. You'll also notice they give us the photo size, and then we have the mat around it as well, and strips of other shaded paper, meaning use a strip of different paper here, such as here with the circles in this one, right? We're supposed to the idea is to alternate the papers and the circles with each other. In this one on the right, we can see we got some darker shaded lines here indicating these are supposed to border this 5.5 by 12 piece on top of a white background. And then we have 1 3/4 inch squares to further line the side with. Additionally, you'll see these daisies or these flower symbols. Here, here, and here, all around. That's to indicate an embellishment or a sticker. It does not mean you have to use a flower shape at all. It just is to say, here would be a good place to put some type of sticker or embellishment piece to it. In some other sketches, we'll see these these circle, these joined circles. That would indicate that is a border. So using a BMC border maker cartridge or a border maker punch would go here. You could also use laser cut borders if you don't use those tools, or you don't have what you're looking for in those tools, but you have it in a laser border punch embellishment pack. You could use it that way as well. And we can see we have got some of the similar elements of shaded sections to indicate different papers. We've got our embellishment icons, our photos, and our mats. The lines will indicate journaling space. So some people like to journal right on top of the page. Some folks like to journal on top of variety mats or on white cardstock and mat that as well. There's a lot of different ways we can journal. The title, again, is one of those pieces. We could use stickers for a title. We could use alphabet stickers to make a title. We could use a Cricut die cut title. We could use Any which way that tells us what's the title of this event, of the pages, of what we're looking at in the scrapbook. So again, a lot of these elements we can shift and move around. Again, this is an idea that we want to work with. And I'll go through some examples that I just did, but these are some of those basic elements of how to read a sketch. So it's just giving us placement ideas, as well as, using different types of paper to bring out what we're aiming to do with our pages. So that's kind of like a crash course, but we can take a look at some sketches that I put together, and I'll walk through a little bit of what I chose to do. So I'll zoom in on this one. So here in this album, I went with the July 2025 virtual crop sketch number 1 that displayed these 4x4 banners coupled with circle punches. And so what I did here, I used one of the Celebrations Advisor exclusive pack, along with Elegant Moments Advisor exclusive pack, because I really liked the teals, and I liked how everything kind of came together to give me this sketch outcome. And so again, right, I don't have the exact size photos that it tells me to use, but I had what I had and how I wanted it to work, and I just played around with it. So all in all, this one is almost identical to what the sketch tells us to do. I've got my panels here. I used the 1 3/4 circle punch and punch different papers to get different patterns. And that's kind of the other piece with thinking about sketches, thinking about what papers we're going to use, things that show us, right, a repeating type of pattern or alternating pattern. We want to just be mindful of what that will look like. So you might want to reduce how many papers you're going to use for that, just to create some sense of symmetry if you're going to do it on a double page spread, or some sense of just how it ties in together. So for this particular sketch, you could, because we have 7 circles here in each of these sections, and really you only have to punch out 14 circles, because you're going to split them in half for the edges, and you're going to have the full ones in the middle. So you could do it a variety of ways. You could pick, you could pick 2 different pages or cardstock colors, and you could alternate them. Or, you could do 3 of one of a different one, and then the next 3 going back to the first 3. I picked 3 different pattern papers and cut out the circles, and then I just kind of rotated along. So I did have the black repeat, but that, for me, I felt that was okay. So again, you just kind of want to think along those lines of what will that look like? What type of pattern are you going for? Are you going for a pattern? These could all be the same color if you wanted. Just because the sketch says to make them different doesn't mean they have to be. And then, of course, I moved my title from up here. I moved it down here. I used a sticker from the UV embellishments, and then I just used some write-on stickers matted on some cardstock that matched the teal that I was using. So this was New Year's, our New Year's Eve gathering. I had gotten a record player as a Christmas gift that year. I found, as we were cleaning out my parents' house, I found the John Denver Muppets Christmas album. That was kind of one of those childhood staples, and was able to rescue it and bring it back home. And then, starting to shop for other records as well. And then this was our New Year's dinner. New Year's Eve happens to be my birthday. So it's also a birthday celebration in that sense. So another one I did recently. See that? Is from the June 2025 virtual crop sketch number 1, that shows us an 11 by 9 paper with folded corners on top of a 12 by 12 with a border, a title, and even a separate or a different paper. So you would cut a 2-inch by 11 strip and tuck it under that border attached to this 11 by 9 page here. Fold those corners. Here's some embellishments, and here's your photo placement with journal. So what I did here was that instead of making that 2-inch strip, I just used the entire page of one paper on top of another. And this is from the it's one of the baking collections. Baked with Love, I believe, is what it is. It's the first Baked with Love, or Made with Love, one of the two. And so I used that paper in print. I used Cricut for my titling, which I had moved from here. I moved it into the middle of the square because I was working with wallet-sized pictures. I will often use wallet size in some of my albums, along with regular 4x6s, just to kind of help with different sizing and maximizing how many pictures I could get in a layout. So we were making punchki. If you're not familiar with punchki, it's most equivalent to a yeast donut that's filled with some type of jelly jam, usually blackberry or black raspberry, and punchki is Polish because we have Polish heritage. So we were making punchki one day. So additionally, what I did to kind of, instead of the border at the top there, I put the border all along. This is from the Baking Fun Knockout Border Punch. That was a promo punch from last year's Black Friday. And so I just found a coordinating cardstock color. This cardstock is a non-CM color, but it matched better for everything I was using or doing in here. So I just took scraps and just made knockout pieces and then arranged them along the edging. So a little bit of a different interpretation, but you can see how the sketch inspired what I was going to do here. And that's the idea of sketches, is to help us envision what we're wanting to put together and what we can ultimately end up with. I have some more examples here. So here on this 2-page, the collections I used were I believe the Canary Totally Tonal for the base paper. And then I used Springtime Soiree for the main background piece, and the 3-inch cutouts at the bottom here, the tiling. I also used the Springtime Soiree green pattern print for using the Grassland Punch. And then I did the Wildflower Punch, and that's in, I believe, Fruity Delights was a Advisor exclusive quarterly paper pack. So I punched out Wildflower in that. And then the Watering Can BMC, which came out with the Spring Soiree collection, is done in a gray, kind of metallic-like print paper that is a non-Creative Memories paper. And then I used Branch Punch to outline the main page here. I believe I used hot fudge cardstock for the branch. And then the butterflies are in a non-Creative Memories kind of scraps of pink that I have. And I used the Creative Memories mini punch. That's a long retired little mini pocket punch for the butterflies. But the inspiration came from the March 2025 virtual crop sketch number 2. You can see here we have our base paper. We've got the inlaid paper behind it, so base, inlay. We've got border element here with these circles. Here's my border. And then here's my 3 by 1 inch tile pieces along the bottom. So I picked 3 different patterns and rotated them along. And since I was making this a 2-page spread, I had to pay attention to some of that placement of the tiles because as you can see, it kind of broke here. I should have moved it. I was going along and I didn't pay attention to what I was necessarily doing there. But I wanted them to kind of match. So that's one thing you want to think about when you are placing patterns and you're wanting to make it a 2-page spread. You want to think about how will that run together or be different if you want it different. I've got the space for my photos here. I did not put a title on because I wasn't sure what I was going to do with these pages. I just kind of felt that inspiration and just made them. But you can see how I kind of added little embellishment to it. I made a border along the inlaid paper to kind of go along with the theme. I could have also, just kind of trimmed a slim border and put that behind here to kind of bring it out some more if I wanted as well. Lots of possibilities. And then my last example, is from the December 2024 virtual crop sketches, in which I kind of did a little mini challenge for myself where I did each one of these 4 sketches. And I decided to only use the elements from the Enchanted Snow Globe collection, which was a Black Friday exclusive promotion collection last year in 2024. So here's sketch number 1. I think was the one I first introduced on this video, where we got these circles coming along the top here, different papers. My interpretation was making those circles into snow globes. Let me zoom out a little. Making that interpretation to be these snow globes, and instead of having them at the top, I put them at the bottom using some of the shelf embellishment snow globe base that came with the collection. And my idea here was creating my own snow globes that will have little scenes in them. So you can see I only got a couple completed. This was kind of one of the last ones I was doing on my little Christmas vacation that I took. So this one kind of was running out of time a little bit. I'm gonna use the icicle punch at the top just to add a little extra there. For sketch number 2, where we've got these squares along the side and the main panel here, I made that another 2-page spread, which could either be placed in the book this way, if I wanted to, or I could go this way. Either way will probably work. This will depend on kind of what are my pictures, where am I placing things. So again, I don't have any of the journaling or extra embellishments done because I'm not sure what photos I'm going to use for this yet, but at least I have the bases pieces completed where I used, again, the papers from the Enchanted Snow Globe. I used the poinsettia edge border maker cartridge. I used the Winter Vine border punch. This is a long retired punch as well. And the Stardust White cardstock is the base paper. And I also used bronze, which is a retired shimmer paper, to add a little extra to it. So even though this one did not call for a border, I interpreted these panel pieces along the side, this 1/2 inch by 12. I've kind of got it, I have it here, but then I thought, to me it's a little plain. I wanted a little bit something extra, so that's where I then incorporated some border cuts, punches, to kind of bring it out a little more and to add a little extra fun. Sketch number 3 is, I think, a really easy sketch. I know some people might get intimidated by how do I cut these triangles. And once you understand how to do that, they're really easy. And one of the tips I have is that when you are learning that, make notes for yourself. If you print these out, make notes for yourself, or if you use digital copies, if there's a way to add little notes, I would type that in there. And so really, the main trick is that you're cutting a 4 by 12 inch piece of paper. And then you, on your trimmer, you are putting the 2 of the ends in the middle and cutting. And just real quickly, so imagine this is your 4 by 12 paper. You're going to lay it on your trimmer so that the ends align with the cut line, that dotted cut line, and then you will cut and you'll get your triangles. What you'll have to remember is, for the opposite, to get the opposite ones, you're going to have to rotate. You're going to have to flip that over to get the opposite triangle pieces. So you also want to be careful about prints, papers with prints on them, and if they're in a certain direction, you're going to want to stop and really just pay attention to what direction is that print. So whether there's stripes, lines, or in this case, trees, right? I had to think through a little bit. Wait, if I'm going to do this triangle, I want it to be this. I have to think of how I'm going to do that. That might involve rotating or flipping the paper over to get the cut that you're needing. Again, here we've got border icons telling us we're going to border those triangles to give us this middle window view. And then it gives us the idea for our photo placement, where a title can go, and other embellishments, and on the page journaling. So again, I did not fully complete it, but I've got my base here. You can see the base. This is the only base that actually came from a different collection. This is from the Serenity collection, but these triangles are from the Enchanted Snow Globe. I used the Snow Globe border maker punch that came with the Enchanted Snow Globe collection. And I painstakingly made the snow globe pieces to fit in, to kind of give a little scene. And I used the Icicle BMC again in platinum shimmer along the top, just to kind of give an extra piece, because I didn't want upside down snow globes at the top. and I didn't think putting snow globes the other way would really work that great. So again, I altered it. It doesn't have to be the same all the way through. The sketch makes it look that way, but I can mix and match as I want. Lastly, we've got sketch number 4, which gives us a 2-page layout, and it's giving us a border element towards the top on the right and towards the bottom on the left, and it's giving us a nice kind of even, here's 2 bigger photos here on each side with smaller photos, kind of giving us a little like film strip or panel type of or tile type of look to it. Here's on the page journaling, embellishments, title, use different papers from the different shading areas. And so what I did with this one, still using that Enchanted Snow Globe collection, I again used the Snow Globe border punch. This time I did not fill in the punch outs. I left it as a kind of silhouette along that brown print behind it. So there's my border element. Here's the space at the bottom for my pictures. Here's that strip at the bottom as well. Here's the inlay pieces. This is the 9x6 here and here. I just did not bring it down. So what I had done is I made this side the 2-page spread. So instead of having this panel up here, as the sketch would tell me to, I kept it down here. When I was dry fitting it, I did not necessarily like how that necessarily looked, so I kept it as a mirror image. I used white shimmer with a deco blade, decorative trim blade, to just put underneath my 9x6 here, just to give it a little extra to it. And I also have it here poking out at the bottom edge there, just to give another little extra piece. So hopefully that was helpful for you in understanding and how to interpret Creative Memories sketches. Again, every month 4 new sketches come out at the virtual crop date. Excuse me. So if you're not part of that Facebook group, I encourage you to check it out. It's Creative Memories Virtual Crop. And once you join, you will see a lot of us scrapbookers and card makers will not just only post our interpretations that we put together based off of the sketches, but we'll also kind of share other tips, other pages that we've created in between those virtual crops, and just to kind of give more inspiration, more ideas out there for all of us to appreciate, as well as maybe tweak or adopt, and we all just have a great time doing it. So again, hopefully this was helpful. As always, if you have questions, feel free. You can always reach out to me at Mohr Memories on Facebook. You can always reach out to your favorite advisor. And if you're interested in shopping with me as your advisor, my Creative Memories link is in the details below, as well as my Facebook handle for you to find me and connect. So thanks for joining, and happy scrapping.